So the one thing that fried my bacon a little bit, Dan Orlovsky of ESPN puts out a quarterback rankings list going into the playoffs. He had Brock Purdy 13th on the list. And when he was asked about it, he's like, well, I haven't seen enough of him.
Oh, that's disrespectful.
You work for ESPN. And the guy's played 7 starts and he played 3 preseason games. And this is your job. You don't cover baseball. You don't cover hockey. You don't know shit about the NBA. So
who said
you're an NFL specialist.
Who said
Brock Purdy's played almost Dan Orlovsky.
Oh my God.
He said Brock Purdy's played almost half a year. He's been on national TV. He said, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen enough. Then don't put out a list because you listed him 13th.
Kless says, what up, Cohn and Krugmeister? How you guys feeling about Debo? Is he back? Keep on rocking, fellas.
To me, that was one of the biggest surprises of the entire game was the Brock pass to Debo. And I thought that was absolutely next level, the way he set up the defensive backs for the run after the catch. He made it look like he was cutting it back in, and he waited until he could get the defender for Seattle behind a 49er blocker in pursuit, and then he cut it back to the sideline, and that guy looked up, and there was like 2 bodies, a Seattle body and a Niner body between him and the play. That took him out of the play, and he just went right by. I mean, I thought if you had asked me last week, I would have said Debo doesn't have that last gear to take it to the house, and what did he do? He showed us that last gear and took one to the house.
That's what I was going to say, too. And I keep wondering, like, does he have the last gear, or is it that Seattle was down 31-17 in the fourth quarter and they just quit? I don't know. They looked pathetic on that play, Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But, like, I don't mean to be – I guess all I'm going to say is I'm not saying Debo isn't. He's clearly trending the right direction. I just want to see a little bit more before I take the pressure off him, because as quality control, it's not my job to really crown him too early. It's my job to crown him a week too late if I had to err on one of the two. And I think it clearly brings out the best in him because he's a competitor and it's the playoffs. I felt like on that one fade route he had down the sideline before halftime, he didn't separate, and I'd like him to, but he's never really been the kind of guy that would separate on that route.
What I think is really exciting, and I saw it in this game, and I wanted to see it, and I talked about it in the pregame with Lo Neal on the game, was I want to see the Niners use their speed to create the space for Ayuk and for Debo. And we saw that. I think it was on the Ayuk pass from Brock to Ayuk. Gray ran off the coverage, and it created a ton of room for Brandon Ayuk. And not everybody in the league has a receiver who can run 4.29. The Niners have a 4.3 receiver who probably plays more like a 4.2 receiver. Use him, make people defend that speed, create that space for your other weapons. So to me, that's a huge factor. I know if you look at the box score, you say, what? Danny Gray, did he even touch the ball? Hey, what about Ray? Both those guys are incredibly valuable. You have to show your speed and make the defenses honor it and then slide in underneath it.
Keith Murphy says, Bengals overrated. They've beaten Kansas City 3 times in a row. The Ravens are a division opponent with a tough defense. Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year.
I like the Bengals, but Bengals are, go look at the Bengals. They're not running the ball all that well. With
their offensive
Joe
line
Mixon.
is not good.
Their offensive line, Burrow's always running for his life. Got a couple decent edge rushers. Who looks good is the corner that they drafted out of Nebraska, Omaha or whatever that the Niners wanted. That Taylor Britt, whatever his name was, he looks great. He's a really nice player in their secondary.
He says, I worry about our secondary versus Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. True. I also worry about their offensive line against Bosa, Menahu, and Armstead. Yeah. So how many times did they sack? That being said, they did score a bunch. We went to overtime. Yeah, it's an interesting matchup, and they do match up well against Kansas City for whatever reason. Andrew says, a lot of sloppy from most teams this weekend so far. True. I'm interested to see what the 2 number 1 teams look like next weekend coming off a bye. Wise words. Jason Howard says, did you guys notice Debo taking plays off BCB? I haven't been – I don't know. Didn't notice it.
I watched the whole game a second time, and I rolled it back and forth and spent like 4.5 hours on it. I didn't see him taking plays off.
Who is the 49ers' go-to red zone weapon?
I think that's one of the reasons that they're hard to defend, is that I don't know that there is one. Maybe, I mean, I guess I would probably say it's Kittle.
It's Kittle.
But then
if you overplay him,
yeah, I mean, there's
Ayuk.
There's
Jennings.
Yeah, Jennings. There's Mitchell.
And if you got all that covered, there's the running back.
Right. Then you can throw
Debo.
it to the running back.
Debo really isn't a red zone threat. As a running back, he is, though.
Yeah. As a runner, he's a threat. As
a running back.
As a running back, yeah, he's a threat. As a receiver, I mean, I would say it's Kittle. With this quarterback, I'd say it's Kittle, because Kittle is a very good route runner in the end zone. And
he's big, and he has good hands.
And he's got good hands, and Brock's got accuracy.
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, maybe the most amazing play of the entire weekend was the Brock Purdy off-schedule improv to Ayuk in the corner that he dropped.
That would have been
an incredible play.
That would have been like one of the best plays of Brock's career.
Yeah.
And that play made me think of Montana rolling right, hitting Dwight Clark. I feel like Brock could make that throw. The whole play. Brady couldn't because he can't move. Jimmy couldn't because he can't move.
Well, and the ball placement he would only hit the receiver one of every 10 times. Purdy looks like he could make that throw like repeatedly.
I think he could. So yeah, it's nice to have a go-to guy in the red zone, but I think what's so great about the Niners red zone offense right now is they have a quarterback who can improv. And I think the red zone's a place where improving helps a lot because the windows are so small, people are open for such a brief amount of time if they're open at all. Kind of helps to just scramble things up. That's what Brett Favre could do, Mahomes can do. The best Purdy can do it. He does it. He did it 3 times? 3 times. 4 times. If you count the Ayuk win.
Throwing with anticipation is the number one thing in the red zone, because you can't wait to see a guy get open and then throw it. No, the windows are so small. You have to throw with anticipation and throw him open. So it's, Purdy can do that.
Did Ayuk stop his route deep downfield? According to Kyle Shanahan, yes.
On the one where Purdy yelled at him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also had Debo on the crosser underneath in the clear, like it was a busted play. He was running free. And then you're talking about the one that landed in the middle of the end zone, and Ayuk cut it off. It looked like
that would have been a touchdown if Ayuk had just kept running.
Yeah. But I love that Purdy yelled at him, because it's like, you know what? That's the command that separates this rookie quarterback from other rookie quarterbacks, is that he is good for these players, but he's also going to be tough on these players and hold them accountable.
Right. He's gonna play the position like a veteran quarterback, which is what the Niners need. Right. Connor Koch says, if this team loses, where down the line do you guys think that'd be, and from what? Missed my last dono. Oh, damn, Connor Koch. Today? I'll find it. My bad. Sorry about that.
If the team loses, where do they lose? They lose, I think, because the same way they lost to Kansas City. They can't stay within a country mile in zone or man of top-tier receivers with quarterbacks that are mobile that can buy extra time in the pocket. That's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is we're going to walk out of this thing having lost and talking about corners in the draft. Because they miss Emmanuel Mosley. If they had Emmanuel Mosley, I think this team would be on a different level. Without Mosley, they're holding on. But, I thought Lenore played well, but then we saw Charvarius have a bad game. So I don't know. I'm not sure if the Niner coverage can stand up. If the Niners are a rush and cover defense, and they have to get rush. If they don't get rush, they will get toasted.
That's what happened in the Super Bowl with Harbaugh. They got toasted by Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones.
Yep.
And Anquan Bolden.
Yep.
It was freaking Joe Flacco. And he roasted him. And I guess you kind of could see it coming because, those all those guys in the secondary, Chris Culliver, Terrell Brown, Carlos Rogers, they were cast-offs or mid-round picks that the Niners made into stuff, and it was all because of their front seven. And that's kind of what the Niners do now. So that's why I still kind of think the Niners should be afraid of a team like Buffalo, even though they've shown vulnerabilities. I mean, Josh Allen is the exact kind of quarterback they have trouble with. The exact kind.
He's great. And that throw to Gabe Davis that he made, I bet you there's only 2-3 quarterbacks in the entire league that can make that throw. I mean, Josh Allen's very special.
And Connor, I found it. Like, the thing about Tampa and Dallas, why I feel like the Niners probably should handle either one, is because Tom Brady isn't mobile, even though he can get rid of the ball quickly. He's not going to hurt the Niners by extending plays. And then Dak, I don't really feel like that's his game anymore. The Niners sacked him 5 times last year. I don't see him as being super slippery. He seems kind of slow at this point, frankly, after all these years and injuries. It's the guys in the next game, Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts, who are actually pretty quick and mobile, that I think could hurt the Niners.
Yeah, and I think both those guys could. Who can beat them? The Giants and the Eagles can beat them. I don't think the Cowboys or the Bucs can beat them.
Should the Niners be concerned about Travarius Ward? He got roasted by Jamar Chase last year in the playoffs. The Chiefs didn't bring him back, and then that was definitely a deflating performance against DK Metcalf last couple of days ago after freaking Travarius had done quite well against him in the past.
Yeah, I think you got to be concerned. I don't know what his groin situation is, how he's feeling physically. I'm going to ask him that this week. But, yeah, his ball skills have been incredible this year. They weren't in this game. His poise, he's acted like a true number one corner. He didn't in this game. He wasn't even the best corner on the Niners in this game. I thought Lenore clearly had better coverage all day and outplayed him, had the pick. So, yeah, Charvarius cannot be a weakness. Charvarius doesn't have to be the best corner in football, but he cannot be a weakness and have the Niners win the Super Bowl. He has to play, with confidence, and he's got to have some success or they have no shot.
I mean, he was shadowing DK Metcalf in this game like the Niners thought Lenore was a weakness, which he had been, and they were acting like Travarius Ward was Jalen Ramsey. But midway through the game, I was thinking, man, stop. This isn't working. DK Metcalf is in his head. Maybe just let them play sides of the field. I don't know, because it felt like this was going to be the Niners' plan in the playoffs, to just put Travarius Ward on all these top wide receivers, maybe CeeDee Lamb coming up. Now, it looked like he lost confidence during the game. Like, he was talking so much smack all year. He was in DK's face. He gave up that long touchdown, and all of a sudden he's playing off. He's giving up all these catches underneath. He did not look like the same player to me.
What bothered me was his lack of quickness with the ball in the air. Yeah. Like when there was opportunities there. He was in the neighborhood, but he didn't close. He didn't make plays on the football. And he's been doing that all year. And he's been really good against the run. So
the touchdown, that was bad.
Yeah.
First of all, he was beat. He had no reason to look back for the ball. You got to get back in phase. And when he did look for the ball, I think he looked over the wrong shoulder, didn't find the ball, and fell even further out of coverage. That was bad.
Yeah. He didn't. You have to you got to make a play on the ball. What worries me when I see him with the ball in the air lose more separation with the receiver. And it's like, wait a second, the receiver's supposed to be concentrating on the ball. You're supposed to be closing that space down, and he didn't. So corner's a lot about confidence. So hopefully they can kind of build up that confidence going into this next game.
A surprise inactive the last few weeks has been Drake Jackson, the 49ers' top draft pick this year. Now, he doesn't have a ton of sacks. He doesn't play against the run very much. He's made a few plays this season, and he's very young. He seems like has a lot of talent. The Niners have given him rave reviews all year, but all of a sudden he doesn't play. He can't even suit up. And the Niners pass rush has been a little inconsistent the last month. You think they should play him or not?
Yeah, I would definitely make him active. Think more attack and don't think, coverage. Or I mean, like right now it's like, do you go with the extra D tackle or do you go with the extra D end? I would rather see them go with the extra D end and use a Menahue and Jordan Willis inside and go to your 4 defensive end alignment in obvious passing situations. So and just allow your linebackers to take care of the run. So yeah, I think your defensive ends are the teeth of your defense, and I want my defense to have more teeth, not less teeth. So yes, I want Drake Jackson. I also think Drake's got a kind of a tendency to be able to bat down passes. He's got a skill for it. You know, batting down passes in football is a very similar trait to blocking shots in basketball. And some guys have the knack and some guys don't. He has a knack for knocking down passes. I believe he's among the NFL league leaders in batted down passes. You're playing all kinds of coordinated games up front. Continue to do that and make him active and get him in that rotation and keep those guys as fresh as possible. I would steal a roster spot somewhere else to make sure Drake is active.
Well, I think on a defense with Nick Bosa, you know you're going to get a lot of quick passes away from Nick Bosa, right?
Right.
So if you're playing on the D line on the other side, probably should be ready. He seems like a smart young man, and he's got long arms. So boom, absolutely great fit. I don't see why they're not playing him. I mean, they keep saying they want extra D tackles so they can be strong against the run. They haven't been particularly strong against the run. Maybe you just have to they need an extra D end out there because Jordan Willis is good. Ebukam hasn't been giving him that much. Ebukam is hurt. Ebukam has an ankle injury. And if he plays, I don't know if he'll be 100%. Maybe this is a week because of that to get Drake out there.
There's a problem here. And I know this is maybe not one you want to talk about. But the problem is Kinlaw's got high draft position, and he's not getting much done.
That's fair.
So because of that, they feel the need to carry an extra tackle to fortify themselves inside because Javon is not getting a ton done. And so that's costing them a defensive end. So that's I think the issue is that Javon gets the reps and he's in there and they know he's got potential and he had a couple of real nice plays early in the game, but he's not giving you a lot against the pass at all. And he's not getting heat on the quarterback. He's not necessarily dominant in the run game. He doesn't make plays out of his space. You know, I like Kinlaw, but I think that's the problem really in a nutshell is that they want to put him up there for his strength, but then to have him there, you got to have some backups, and that's taking a spot away from Drake.
Yeah, I mean, Kinlaw played 30 snaps in the last game. That's 44%. He had been about 22 before then. They also have Kevin Givens, who is back. He played 29 snaps. They have T.Y. McGill played 19 snaps. How about Armstead? Armstead played 36 snaps. Explain that to me. It's a playoff game. Eric Armstead played 30. That's 53%. And then Bosa played 40 snaps. 59. I didn't get that. What was that? They were pacing themselves in a playoff game. That's amazing.
Well, they've been, they do feel like if you went and talked to Chris, he would tell you, I got 2 starting defensive lines. But that's something you say.
You don't.
And it's
not in the playoffs.
You still got to play your ones. I mean, Bosa's got to get more snaps than that. Maybe they wanted to keep Bosa fresh for a fourth quarter push, and it just that's why his snaps were low. Maybe they were trying intentionally to keep his snaps down early in the game. But yeah, I mean,
and then they brought in the backups at the end. I know that, but still, it seemed like one way to run on the Niners is just wait until they have all their backup D linemen in, which they do all the time, and then just run. And it's a green light to run the ball when you got Menahue, Jordan Willis, T.Y. McGill, and whoever, the fourth guy,
Givens.
Sorry, Givens. But yeah, essentially. So
I thought in this game, Bosa was their best defensive lineman against the run. I thought he made the most plays. He was the most active. He had the biggest number of tackles. I mean, just look at the list. I thought Bosa played good. Menahue played phenomenal.
Yeah.
Eric Armstead played phenomenally in limited snaps. And then the other guys didn't get a ton done. And that's Kinlaw and Givens. I mean, those guys have to step up and make more plays.
I'd understand not playing Drake Jackson if they were like, look, we got these 4 great guys. They're on the field most of the time. It's just not that many out. We need they're using a whole rotation, and it's kind of hard to say week to week which guy's going to go off. It's not like a Minahue's going off every week. It's basically Bosa and you'll see. So it could be Kerry Hyder. Play Drake
Like
Jackson.
against teams like Seattle, that they know they've got to run the football with Kenneth Walker. I think, when you have these teams that are so they're kind of a run dominant type team. Yeah, run dependent teams. They're going to go with that extra player inside.
But that's not Tampa.
Bodies.
It's not Buffalo. Dallas. It's the Giants to a degree. But that's it. Brandon says, how does D'Amico balance interviews with playoffs? Not sleep. I don't know. That's a tough one.
He's turned down some. I don't have the list in front of me. But he turned down Carolina. Arizona wanted to interview him, right?
He's got 4. I think he turned down 1. He turned down Houston.
He did turn down Houston.
I thought he turned. Maybe I don't know.
I know he turned down Carolina.
Okay. Does it seem like an issue? Are you concerned about this?
Yeah, it could be an issue. It absolutely could be an issue. So, I mean, that's up to Shanahan to set some parameters and figure that out and make sure he's scheduling that stuff at a time where he can do both. But yeah, I mean, you got to do the job you got before you can go pursue the job you want.
Well, the defense certainly has fallen short of its standard the past few games, and I wonder if maybe this has been an issue. I mean, it's not like he just started preparing for his head coaching interviews yesterday. So I don't know. No idea. I'm not there. D'Amico, good luck. I hope you get that job. The coach says D-line pitch count is bizarre. Bosa not on the field for key third downs is a head scratcher. Well, to me, it's a mark of disrespect in the other team. It's the Seahawks. We're going to beat them. Let's treat this like any other game so we can pace ourselves a little bit for this long haul since we don't have a bye week. That's kind of how I took it. How'd you take it?
Well, I take it that, and I haven't talked to Chris, but I have talked to Chris in the past. He views all of these guys as starters. So he doesn't think of it as I'm taking a starter off the field. He's playing his guys in a rotation and he wants to keep them fresh. So, but I agree. Bosa's a difference maker, and he's got to take 3 series in a row in the second half of these playoff games going forward. He can't just say, oh, well, we're going to rest him. No. You want to spot rest him in the first half, maybe here. But second half, you don't want to tire him out, but you got to get him on the field.
William, thank you. I'm not going to read that one, but I appreciate your donation. The thing with Kinlaw is, he's had a very tough story. He's coming back from something 2 years out, but still, if you take the sentimentality out of it, who gives the Niners the best chance to win right now at these positions? And I know he's got talent. You don't want to give up on him. He's got potential, but what's the position breakdown right now? Should he be playing over Drake Jackson?
It's a first down, second down, third down.
Sure.
First and second down, Kinlaw.
Sure.
When you get to third down, he's got to come off the field. He's a 2-down player.
Yeah.
And then when you get to third down, you can go 4 defensive ends. And I kind of like it. It's interesting. When Philly won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, every single guy on their defensive line had pass rush ability. And I saw that, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is kind of a new thing where everybody's a pass rusher. Usually there's some obvious run plugger. They didn't have that. And now the 49ers have taken that to the next level. And in obvious passing downs, they're going Bosa and let's say Jackson, or Bosa and Ebukam on the outside, a Menahue and Drake inside, or a
Jordan
Menahue
Willis,
and Jordan Willis inside. Mm-hmm. And they're going with the 4 DNs. And the bottom line is, if you're going to pass, why not go with the 4 DNs? It really isn't about, you're going to get pass rush with 4 defensive ends better than if you go with a couple tackles.
Even Bosa rushes from the inside, and they do it sometimes to avoid the chip, so they can do a lot of stuff. All right, we're 45 minutes in, and we have some more time, so let's talk about this game from a couple of days ago, because the Niners won 41-23. Everything gets swept under the rug, but there was a moment at the end of that first half where things looked bad. I mean, the Niners just gave away the lead at the end of the first half, and they literally gave it away from the coach to the players. So let's talk about the coach's decision first. Kyle Shanahan and I forget the special team coordinators. He's new.
Brian Schneider.
They decide to squib kick to take a little time off the clock. It results in a return out to the 35-yard line. What'd you think of that decision?
I didn't like
Well,
it.
first of all, Kyle said it was the wrong decision. But why was it the wrong decision is what I'm
Okay.
asking.
I do understand how he arrived at that decision, Grant, because Godwin Igwe, who was a 49er once upon a time, really looked good in the
He
first
did.
half of this game. And
He had a
so
long
I'm
return.
sure he's looking at that going, oh, man, Igwe may bust one. Let's
Yep.
kick it to the up man and not. But you also knew with that little time on the clock, why would you give up any yards at all? Why make him drive 30 yards instead of 50 yards? Why make him drive? You know what I mean? And then the penalty obviously hurt bad. But the big mistake first wasn't just punting it deep. I want them starting at worst on the 25-yard line. Kick it out of the back of the end zone and put them on the 25. Or kick it between the 10 and the 5 and play good coverage. But the squib kick, I mean, I don't know. Where was the line of scrimmage after the squib?
It just feels like the Niners have been kicking teams' butts for so long. I mean, the last 3 months that they're not used to like situational football. And they got in a situation, they're like, well, what do we do? And they just got it wrong. And after the game, they were like, yeah, that was on us. Next time we're in that situation, we won't do it like that. But they're in these situations so infrequently, they're usually winning. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh my God, we're in a game we didn't think we were going to be in. So I guess I understand, but that's the kind of thing. Like, hopefully they got it out of their system now, because
I mean, Robbie Gold did say this, Grant, when I asked him this week about the special teams. He said with Schneider this year, the game plans and the schemes are real simple, and he thinks that's a major key to their improvement on special teams from last year under Richard Hightower.
Also, remind me what the kick looked like. Did it just bounce on the field? How far did it go in the air? I don't even remember the kick. Do you remember?
I don't remember the trajectory, but I know
'Cause
it basically landed right where the up man was going to stand. So he had to take it.
It's like if you're worried about the return man returning the ball, there are ways that you can kick the ball so that the up man doesn't get it, but so you can drive it. You know what I mean? A low line drive kick beyond the up
That
man
bounces and
that bounces, and you can't return it. Like if that's what you wanted to do, I get it. But it's what he said was he wanted to take a little time off the clock, and then what he said in retrospect, better to just keep him at the 25 because one big play from them or one mistake by us puts him in field goal range, and then we made the mistake. So we'll talk about the mistake now. It was Jimmy Ward's penalty. Geno Smith scrambles, gets about 7-8 yards. Jimmy Ward comes in late, hits him late, 15-yard penalty. What'd you think of that play from Jimmy?
Well, man, it was just terrible. I mean, it's a terrible play. Now, Jimmy is a tone setter, and I like the fact that he got a hit on the quarterback, but any hit there that results in points, there's no defending it. Once it resulted in, I mean, if you're trading yards for a hit on the quarterback, yeah, you know what? That maybe is not the worst move. I would take the big time hit on the quarterback and give up some yards. But you cannot trade points in a close game for a hit on the quarterback, especially when everybody and their brother knew that was going to be a penalty. I mean, I will say this though, it's like
Dre Greenlaw made the same mistake this year. So I mean, it happens.
In Chicago.
It happens. And everyone loves Dre Greenlaw. We still like Jimmy Ward, mostly because he came on my channel one time. What's up, Jimmy?
No, Jimmy's awesome. He's a great football player. He truly is a really great football player. He's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. And I normally would give him full license to do whatever he thinks because I think he's that smart of a player. And I can see what he was thinking. Hey, let's get a hit on the quarterback. But this is the NFL in this wussification era where he didn't hit him helmet to helmet. He hit him on the shoulder, but you can't hit him when he slides.
That being said, we know the deal. He knows the deal. We know the deal. But
also, one other thing, Grant, on that one was that it took me back to the Ahmad Brooks Drew Brees play. Why? Because anytime you have somebody going one direction and the defender going the other direction, it's going to look like more contact than there really is. Like that hit looked terrible live. But when you watch it, it was really a matter of Geno sliding and Ward flying up. I mean, the contact was not to the head. It wasn't egregious, but the combination of two cars going head on to each other, the force the flags are being thrown because of they're officiating the impact now.
I felt like that moment was kind of like the last moment of it. It felt symptomatic of what the Niners defense was doing in that first. It was a bad first half for the defense. They gave up 17 points.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Jimmy Ward, but it felt like a lot of people on the defense kind of playing uncharacteristically and maybe not giving the game the respect it deserved, giving the Seahawks the respect they deserve. Like, I think they kind of thought that they would walk in, they've beaten the Seahawks twice, that the Seahawks would be intimidated and fold. And they didn't. And I think when a bully gets punched back, they sometimes act erratically. And I felt like a lot of players on this defense sort of acted like bullies that got punched. Jimmy, Travarius, both of them. These are vets who get paid a lot of money or are at the top of their game who haven't been challenged very much this year and got challenged a little bit, and I felt like they didn't act their best, but they came back in the second half, forced the turnovers, played great. Still, I kind of felt like it was a whole attitude issue, or I don't know what I would call it.
Well,
attitude.
I mean, it's human nature.
Yeah.
If you beat a team twice, you're getting them for the third time, and you've beaten them twice, and you've beaten them. You were
Big.
+4 in turnovers, and you're like, hey, you know what? We're better than them, and it's
We don't
hard
respect
to probably
you.
get it dialed up.
We don't like you. We don't respect you. And it's fair. I mean, they're a 9-9 team, but I think that's what the first half was the Niners. The Seahawks having a good game plan because the game plan's out there. The Raiders showed it. And the Niners totally not respecting them. And the Seahawks folding in the second half. I still can't get over Geno Smith fumbling in the red zone. I can't get over that. Okay, you're going to get sacked. Have 2 hands on the ball. Geno.
Okay, that play I thought was the game.
It was the game. That was the game. Even if he gets sacked and doesn't fumble there, it's a field goal. They're down 3. It's a game.
Yeah.
When he fumbled, I felt like you could feel it in Seattle just be like, oh, it's over. We're done.
I know.
We're done. Yeah.
That was a huge play. Okay, so I think that there's an obscure thing that we're not pointing to that saved this game and made.
Let's talk about it.
That play. I thought the Niners caught a huge break. Think about that drive. Seattle's going extended drive on the 49ers at that point. They're moving the ball down the field. I'm on the binoculars. I'm looking at the players on defense. They got their hands on their hip, their hands on their thigh pads, which is the international unspoken language of I'm gassed.
I'm exhausted.
Right. And what happens at the end of that long drive? It was the offensive lineman, Austin Blythe, went down with an injury. And so there was a stoppage, and the 49ers were not going to call a timeout because they had already kind of wasted some timeouts. So they didn't have a timeout to take there. So they were just going to gamble that their defense could get a hold, and their defense was gassed. Yeah. But what happens is Blythe goes down with the injury. They go away to the commercial.
Took
they
a
bring
long
out the water.
time.
Guys are getting water. Guys are wiping off their sweat. Guys are regrouping and getting a chance to catch their breath.
It's true.
The very next play, it was the illegal man downfield penalty against Seattle. So that took it down to 2nd and 14. And then Geno throws a fade at Metcalf, or to Metcalf against Charvarius.
Hit him in the face! Hit him in the face!
Yeah.
Travarius Ward couldn't make a play on the ball, hit DK Metcalf in the face. Oh, yeah. This was the game.
So now it's 3rd and 14 from the 19-yard line. And I thought this was a great – now, I don't know if this was D'Amico's call, if this is Chris Kosarek's call, but they lined up in what was 3 guys overloaded to the defensive right side. And you had Ebukam by himself lined up at the defensive left end spot. And what they did was Ebukam took an inside move, took the interior guard with him. A Menahue, it was an ET stunt, and the end went first. And a Menahue was playing defensive tackle, looped around, and he had a bad angle on the quarterback. He wasn't getting there, and he just.
But then Geno stepped up, totally
Geno had
oblivious,
the ball down by his waist, and he swiped at it, popped it out. Sat on the ground for a second. Bosa jumps on it, and the place erupted. I mean, it erupted so much at the press box, I could feel the shaking of the stadium in the press box.
There were a lot of people cheering in the press box. It used to be there was no cheering in the press box, but it seems like that rule is not enforced.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rookies in the press box.
It's true.
There's a lot of cheering. But as far as
true.
that play, it reminded me of the Super Bowl against the Ravens, where the 49ers had an old Ravens defense gassed at the end, and Harbaugh couldn't get the play called. They called the timeout. Timeout.
Oh, yeah.
And Bernard Pollard and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, all these guys playing like their last NFL games, and they got a chance to towel off and water up and, tighten the belt and tighten your shoes and get ready and focus. And they got their big defensive stand, and the Ravens win the Super Bowl. Never, ever, ever, ever call a timeout on offense at the end of a drive, especially in the second half after a long drive. And that's what Seattle did. And it allowed the 49ers to rev it up, take a second, catch their breath, and then Amenahue and Bosa came up with the play of the game.
So Austin Blythe went down. That's huge. But then the next play, the ineligible man downfield on a 7-yard throw. Like, how did you get downfield on a 7-yard throw to Tyler Lockett? But they did somehow. And then it was 2nd and 14. Like, it should have been 3rd and 2 from the 7.
Right.
Instead, it's like, what did you do? And again, so did the Niners adjust? Yeah, their offense did. That 8-minute drive at the beginning of the third quarter was freaking amazing. But did the Niners defense adjust? I don't know. Austin Blythe got hurt. There was an ineligible man downfield, and then Geno Smith. Seattle just wasn't good enough. But I'm concerned about all these other teams coming up because they're all better than Seattle, and the Niners defense is really concerning me. What the hell was that? And then after that, Seattle folded, and the Niners looked great after that.
And then Lenore got the pick.
Sure, and then it looked great. Play. But Seattle fell apart, and the Niners piled it on. But this was a game almost into the fourth quarter. That sack fumble was deep in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Man, what an amazing game. And it's like it was 41-23, so no one will ever remember it that way. It's like it didn't happen.
I know. Yeah, exactly. It will be. It's like a footnote. The other thing that I think is really important, in that we talk about it every week, but it almost gets redundant. Turnovers. I don't know if you saw this stat. The 49ers, when they're even or positive on the year, 14-0. When they're down on the turnover ratio, 0-4.
Whoa! Okay, say it again.
When the Niners are even or plus on the turnover margin at the end of the game, they're 14-0. When they're minus at the end of the game, they're 0-4.
That scares me. Because no team. I just feel like eventually you have to win one game in a season where you don't win the turnover margin. One game. I'm sure the Niners can do it, but they haven't done it yet. And eventually they're going to face a team that doesn't beat itself. Kansas City.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I would say the time for turnovers and living to fight another day have come and gone. The Seattle game, it was a clean game, but they probably could have won if there had been a turnover. But they're not beating anybody going forward if they're -2.
That's true.
So, they got to take care of the football. The one thing about Brock and the one thing about the Niners is, in this particular game, very clean game. Considering how wet the field was, very clean game. Very few penalties, no turnovers.
That being said, Kyle's getting a little pass happy with Brock. 19 passes in the first half. Didn't exactly work out. They got a little bit more balanced in the second half. And then Seattle quit, which always helps. Finesse Kid says, both your predictions of Purdy stats next game. Well, we don't know who they're playing yet.
We don't even know.
That's
who
a tough
playing.
one, man. Come back.
Grant just said it. They're not just going to – this is not Jimmy Garoppolo from 2019 where you're going to run, and then, don't let the quarterback throw.
It's not going to
Shanahan has belief in Purdy. He's going to let him throw.
In fact, he's playing off people not understanding how much belief he has in Purdy. It's kind of like what Harbaugh was doing with Kaepernick early on. People thought he was going to try to hide Kaepernick. He loved Kaepernick. And he liked that people didn't understand that. I think Kyle's the same way. Is Kalia Davis' practice window still open? No. That was I think they were thinking of it as like an early offseason for him since he missed the entire offseason. G-Code Travels says, Larry, great impersonation of Balky. Can you do it again? Who would you rank Niners' best GM? Scott McCloughan, Trent Balky, or John Lynch?
Scott McCloughan really knows personnel. Trent Balky, really, I really like our linebackers, Larry. Gerald Hodges has got a lot of speed. He's got some ability, I'll tell you. And, Navarro had an injury. And Navarro's not quite the same player as he used to be. But, we really love our linebackers, Larry.
That was perfect. I loved it. Hey, nicely done.
You know who did a better one than me? He's not around to do it anymore. Kevin Lynch. Remember
Kevin
the great
Lynch did a good
Kevin
one.
Lynch.
Matt Mayoko does a good one. It's funny. Almost everyone does a Trent Baalke. I don't do a Trent Baalke, but he had such a weird voice and he was such an important person that it was too easy. It was not too easy, but why would you not? A lot of people make fun of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trent. We like you, but the voice, it's almost like the Batman voice, like the Christian Bale Batman voice, but with like no, you know what it sounds like? I forget what the guy's name. Funkhauser, the guy from
he
sounds like that guy
from Dirty Dave, Big Dave Osborne.
Yes, him,
and also he's also on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes, he sounds exactly like that guy. Anoop says 49ers coach this game like a regular season playoffs. Playoffs are here. Every play call, personnel decision, and situational call is huge. Be better. Yeah, it was like, it's Seattle. We got them. Blah, blah, blah. Fine. Okay, don't do that against. See, that's the thing. What if they play Tampa? They beat Tampa by a lot. Are they going to act like that against Tampa? Because they play the B team. They haven't played the A team of Tampa yet.
Right. Yeah.
Larry, can you see the G-men getting the upset? Yes, he already laid it out.
Yeah, I like New York to win that game. I think New York's got some good things going right now.
Yeah, they do. Abu Marco 23 says, we can't be furious at Abram for his dirty twist of Debo's ankle, but call Ward a tone setter when he launches it, a sliding Gino with his forearm. I'm not mad at Abram. And for the fact of the matter is, Abram and Debo took a picture holding each other. They exchanged jerseys after the game, so they squashed it. If two grown men can squash a silly beef, why do I have to be upset about it, is how I feel.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this on the Ward thing compared to the Abram thing. The Ward thing is a bang play where you have to time it perfectly. He just mistimed it. The Abram play, that's a punk move. You don't grab and twist a guy. This is a rough game played by tough guys. There's no room for dirtiness. And to me, Debo, they kissed and made up and they exchanged jerseys and, they both played in the SEC and they probably have some common friends and so on and so forth. But come on, man. Jonathan Abram, I love Jonathan Abram as a player, but he crosses the line. And to me, when you're twisting a guy's leg, what if you tore a ligament? You're messing with his ability to provide for his family. No, to me, that's way worse.
What I liked about that was they didn't call a flag on Abram, but then all the Niners got in Abram's face and hit him, and they didn't call a flag on that either. They're like, all right, Abram, like, you're going to have – you deserve it.
I thought there was a makeup call then, too. If you notice, there was a call that went in the Niners' favor, like either one play or two plays later, and I thought that seemed like a makeup call.
It just felt like they let everyone in the Niners like get one lick in on Abram, and they're like, okay, all right, break it up. All right, that's enough. Sherpain says, I would argue that the Bills played worse than the Niners. Yeah, I would also argue that as well.
Yeah. Skylar Thompson came within 3 points of beating you in your backyard.
I like Skylar Thompson. I thought he played pretty good. Can I just say I like Skylar Thompson? He's not Brock Purdy, but he looked nice.
Well, I love to make
Geno Smith is – I hope the Seahawks keep Geno Smith. Actually, as a quality control coach for the entire league, I'd like to see them actually draft a quarterback because there are 0 quarterbacks in their 30s in the playoffs right now, and Geno – but they're gonna re-sign him. You already know
Geno looked good at the beginning, but not as much down the stretch.
Not when it got it. Sorry. Stunna 2 times says, Grant, you predicted it to be a low-scoring game. What did you expect? I expected rain. What the hell were we talking about? I'm not talking about rain anymore. We'll find out day of the game. It didn't rain at all. It rained for 2 seconds.
It rained on the drive down, and it rained on the drive home.
That was it. Daniel Herr says, there is only one king of West Coast hip-hop, and his name is AC Alone. Ooh, wow. He's in Project Blowed, right? From L.A.? See, I know. Great rapper. Little underground. Underground 90s, for sure. Yeah. All balls don't bounce. See, I know. Without Jimmy G, we wouldn't be here. Arguable, but at the same time, sure. Let's give him that. Salute to Jimmy G and what he did for this season. He definitely gets a ring if they win. That's all we got. That's the whole show. Yeah. We did it in an hour and 7 minutes. Great.
Good stuff, man. Hey, by the way, check me out on KTVU later this hour. I'm doing a little hit with them on their 4:00 news hour sports, whatever. I'm not really sure what it's called, but
KTVU has great taste.
Thank you.
They had me the other day. They got you. They know who's running it.
They know.
They're coming
They
to the old media, new media, converging. Gotta love it. I love KTU, by the way. KTVU's been here forever. I used to work there as an intern.
Did you?
I did. When I came out of college, my first job was working with Pete Lupetti and Mark Ibanez and Joe Fonzie and Fred Inglis.
Love Fred.
Sports department.
Forgot about Fred.
Fred was OG, yeah. They're the greatest. They're a top-notch organization, and I'm glad that you're going to be on. So definitely check them out. Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. And you have homework. Go watch the Monday Night Football game tonight, and I'll put on a
live
video.
Streaming after, by the way. So after the Monday Night Football game's over, I'm going to do a live stream, and we'll break it all down and chop it all up in the whole deal.
Nice. I'll put up a little instant reaction, but I'm probably going to go to bed at like 8:45. So have a good one, guys.